Okay, today let us see how we can analyze data using what we call Power Pivot. So Power Pivot is one of the powerful tools which is equally found in Excel. It is mostly used when you are working in a data, when you are working in data that is huge. It is always advisable, if you want to stay within Excel, it is advisable to move that particular data to Power Pivot. So these are some of the tables that we'll be working with. So we have this D product. The D product contains our product ID, contains the product that we have, the supplier of this product, the cost, and the price. And then we equally have this D sales rep. This is the table that contains our sales representation and where they are located. We have our sales ID, we have the name of the representative of this particular region inside here. And then here we equally have this inside this folder, we have this table. There is the table. This is the file that contains our sales for 2025. And then inside here, we have sales for 2022, 2023, and 2024. So what we are going to do, we are going to first of all import this folder that contains three files for 2022, 2023, and 2024. And then we'll take it and then we'll move it to Power Pivot and then to do some analysis. And then after that, we will equally add this 2025 file that we have. So let us go back to Excel. The reason why we have chosen Power Pivot, it is simple. If we look at the data that we have, if we look at the information or what we are trying to do, that is, if we decide to stay in Excel, we are going to have some challenges because we have to do this. Probably they will be sending this information to us yearly. And if we stay in Excel, Excel won't be able to contain all this file. That is why we are taking it to Power Pivot. In a situation like this one, either you use Power Pivot if you want to stay in Excel, or you use Power BI, or you can use SQL to do this particular, or you use a database to do this work. So where are we going to start now? Here, if you look here, you will see I already have my Power Pivot. However, in your own maybe device, if you don't see Power Pivot here, in order to get it, you go to File, and then you go to Option. Under Option, you go to Add In, and then under here, you take Command Add In, and then you select, you hit the Go button. Under the Go button, make sure that Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel is checked. Okay, you make sure that this is checked. Mine is already checked, and then you take OK. When you hit OK, and then you will be able to see Power Pivot here in this particular ribbon. Okay, so we stay here. We are going to get our data now. We have now to take our data into Power Pivot, but in order for us to take it to Power Pivot, we can go to Power Pivot either by we click the Power Pivot button, and then you'll be able to see, you can come here under this data model, go to Power Pivot. But we are not going to, we cannot do this because we have to get our data first. And in order for us to get our data, we have to use Power Query. We get our data, we take it to Power Query, and then we now move it to Power Pivot. So in order for us, what we're going to do, we have to take those files, the folder that I've just shown you, take it to Power Query, and then we move to Power Pivot. So you come here under Data. If you don't equal a series or a want here, if you don't have this If you don't have this particular data that is stored here, you can just maybe, let's say you can just right click here, you go to customize ribbon, and then you should be able to see data. You make sure that data is checked. This will enable you to get and then to transform your data. You make sure that it's checked and then you hit OK. Since I already have it here, and then I come here, I go to my get data. Where are we getting this data from? And as we come here, we say from, it is coming from a folder. We want to take the information that is found, those 3 files that are found inside the folder. That is what we want to import into Power Query. So we hit from file, from folder, I beg your pardon. And then we are going to look the folder that contains this information. It is found inside this data modeling, and this is the folder that contains our file. If you check here, this is going to be our address. So when we load it, you will see this particular address in Power Query. So we go with open. Now we have this other window. We have this other window that contains our file. If you come here, you will discover that we have this content, and then these are some of the attributes: the name, the extension, the data access, the date modified, date created, the attribute. These are some of the attributes that we have, and this is the folder. The folder where these particular files, these 3 files are found. Under this content, if we hit under this content, this is where all these 3 files are found. So what are we going to do? We are going to hit on transform data. So this is going to open the Power Query window editor for us. And here you can see on the left side, we have our start. That is the name of our folder. These are the files that we have inside here. If we select this one, it is telling us that inside this particular column where we have content, under this binary, it's telling us that this particular binary row has a file for 2022, and this one, and this one has a file for 2023, and this other one has a file for 2024. So this is our query setting. This is our file. This is our file name, right? And then this is the source. If you check here, you are going to see this is our folder name, where where Power Query was able to import this data from this particular address that we have here. And then if we come here to the source, and then we hit here, if we hit this particular tool, we'll be able to see our folder path here. Maybe we want to use a different folder path. We can just then copy and we replace with this. We can then delete this one and paste our folder path here, and then we'll get a different file. Okay, so what are we going to do? We don't need all these other attributes. The only information or the only column that we need, that we'll be working on, it is this other one. Probably if we're in Excel, what we're going to do, probably we're going to select all these ones. We'll select everything and delete it. But Power Query makes it very easier for us. So we're going to right click this one, and then we'll remove other columns. Now we only stay with this one. As you can see, if you come here, you'll see the apply step. We have removed other columns. Okay, and this is in the background. When we do this, Power Query writes some M codes in the background. So what we're going now to do, we come now to this other body. Remember, we have 3 files inside here. So we have to append this file We need to combine the files so that we have a single table. So we use what we call combine. So we're going to hit this particular button here. And then as you can see, if we come here, you will discover that our reading is correct because the file that we have, which is a delimiter file, yes. So Power Query is asking us that the data, if we really want to combine this data with the 200 rows, yes, that is actually what we want. So we hit OK. When we now hit OK, this is our result. All our 3 files have been combined. And then if you look here, these are the apply steps. You discover that we already had this one initially, right? So what happened? The first step, in order to combine the data, Power Query was able to filter it, okay? And then it equally evokes some custom function, right? It evokes some custom function with this to come up with this theory table. It removed columns, unnecessary columns that we have. He equally expanded the table that we have, and then it changed the data type for us. Okay, like this is changed the data type for us. It did that automatically, as you can see here. This is a date data type. So Power Query was able to do that for us. So yeah, what we're going to do, we can then change the name of this particular for our table. So let us call these F cells. We stand for a fact cell. So in data analysis, fact cells, it is a table. It is a table, or it is a table that contains numerical values. Because inside here we have our numerical values, we have our product ID, we have our sales rate, and then we have our unit price, etc. So we're going to call this is the name that we're going to give to this. And if you look at our data look clean. So we don't need to do any cleaning. We don't need to do any cleaning yet. So what we are now going to do, we are now going to take this particular table to Power Query. Now, if you look here, if we close and load, it's going to take us to Excel. This is not what we want to do. So we hit this other button, which is going to give us some other bunch of action. Close and load, that is not what we want. Close and load to, this is what we want. So we take this other one, and then this other little window again is going to pop up. So what are we doing now? Like we said, we want to take this to Power Pivot, okay? So we come here, and then we only want connection, and we want to add this to, and then we add this to data. We add this data to the data model. This is actually what we want to do. If we equally maybe include, if we say we want to do this is going to take us to Excel, that is not what we want. We don't want to create we don't want to create a pivot table or pivot chart, but we only want to create connection, and then equally send this to, we equally want to create data models for this particular files that we have. So we hit enter. So it is the step have been applied here. Everything is already finished. Let us reduce this. Okay. So we have this is our file, our F cells here. Okay. This is our F cells here. So let us close this. So we can go now to Power Pivot. In order to go to Power Pivot, if we are in data, you come here, you will see Power Pivot. If we hit this button, it will take us to Power Pivot, and we'll be able to see that particular our fact cells. Or we can come here, Power Pivot, and then we go to Manage, and this is our table here. Okay, this is our table that contains that contains the files for 2022. It contains files for 2022, 2023, and 2024. So let us go back to Excel. We equally want to bring these two files to the data. We want to equally take it to data model and then create connection as well. So we're going to select this one first. We go to data. This time around, we want to get our data from table range. So we hit this one, and then we do some inspection to see if everything is okay. It looks good. The name is okay. We leave the name like this, and then we equally expand this section closer and load to. We equally want to. We only want to create connection and add it to our data model. So we're gonna do the same with this one. Take this. Looks good. And then we expand this button here. Only create connection, add to data model. We hit OK. Great. So we are done importing this file into our data model. So if I come here and then manage data model, and then we'll be able to see our three files here. This is our fact cells. This is our D product and D cells. So let us go. We can then go maybe to the we can go to the data model view, where we will see we now have to create a connection between these three files that we have, and the connection that we, because if we don't create, there is this data, there is no relationship between these three tables that we have here. So we have to link this to this other one, and then to link this to this one, and then so that our data will be connected. We're going to do this. We'll go with this one, and then this cell rep, we equally go with this one. So let me so inside our tables, this is our data view here. Our data view is where we have our tables. Okay, so where, and then we equally have our diagram view. This is where we create our relationship. I think another thing that I'm going to add here, we are going to create a date calendar. To create a date calendar in Power Pivot, unlike in Power BI, where you have to use that, write some operation query to do that. Power Query is not, it is different. You just hit a button, you hit a click, and then it will create a date calendar for you. However, the disadvantage with the disadvantage using a date calendar in Power Pivot is that if there is any update, okay, if there is any update, you have to do that manually. Unlike in Power BI, where the update is automatic, it is automatically. So we select inside the cell, and then we go to design, and then under this design, we come to date and table. We say new. We hit this button. This is going to create a unique date calendar for us. That is going to be a new table. So let us move. Beautiful. As you can see, this is our date calendar. Just a click, and then we have everything. Okay, we have everything. So yeah, I'm going to change. I will change this name. We'll say date, and then we hit enter. So now we have to go back to our the diagram view, and then we equally have to link this other table with this other one as well. You know the relationship that we have here. It is a one to many. It's a one to many relationship because inside our let me arrange this. Okay, let me arrange this. So this is this inside this table. This is our primary key is found inside here, and this contains the foreign key. Primary key here, the foreign key. Primary key here, and then to the foreign key. So at the end of the day, when we add our calculation, we are equally going to see our calculation inside this particular. It will equally have here, and then if we equally expand this, you will discover probably we should have a data hierarchy. Great. This is going to help us when we are doing our analysis. It will give us some kind of unique, day, month, and year. Okay, so let us equally link this. Let us create our connection here, and then we are done with this one. I think this is the foundation has already been built, which implies that if we have other files for 2025, after we have built this one, we'll create now our calculation. We're going to do our computation, take it to Excel, maybe create some visuals. When we have another file, maybe for 2025, 2026, 2027, we'll just take and then we drop inside. And then if we drop it inside this, we take this one and then we drop inside this folder. We go back to, and then we go back to power, power pivot, come under design, and then we make sure that we have to update the range, our date. For example, if we dropped the file for 2025, we come here and then instead of 2024, we will have 2025 and then we'll hit refresh and everything will update automatically.